In this tutorial, we'll learn how to add attributes to the checkout process. These attributes will appear in the basket before proceeding to checkout. Checkout attributes are useful when you'd like customers to provide some more information about their order. For example, allowing customers to add additional notes. This can be useful when a customer would like to tell you about a certain place to deliver their order, for example, or if they have any special requests. So we'll start off just by navigating to the specific area in Infigo that deals with checkout attributes. And what we're going to do within this tutorial is create 3 examples of checkout attributes to provide a well-rounded understanding of their creation and their capabilities. Our first example will cover delivery instructions. So this will simply be a text box where users can optionally enter additional information to include with their order. So let's go ahead and click on Add New on the Checkout Attributes screen. That will open up a separate page where you can put in some information about the checkout attribute. I'm just going to put in a relevant name. You can optionally enter a text prompt and some help text. So in terms of the text prompt, this allows for the customized name for an attribute to be visible to the user. And this is if you want it to differ from the actual name field. The help text will appear as a tooltip style pop-up when an icon is hovered over. And we'll see this later on, but we can enter the text we want to show as part of that tooltip. Next, we want to select a control type. So you can select between multiple types of control based on the information you wish your customers to enter on that basket screen. And we'll see a few other examples of these in action on the other examples we set up. For something like the delivery information, we require a multi-line text box, which will provide a large area of text input for customers to enter their own information. Just as a side note, you can also specify whether inputting into this particular checkout attribute is mandatory or optional using this icon here. Okay, so that's finished. Let's go ahead and just click on Save to take us back to the checkout attribute screen. Our next example will be to allow the user to specify this as a gift item. So this will take the form of a selectable radio button, and it will just have yes and no options. If yes is selected, then additional cost will be applied to the order. Now, of course, this could be extrapolated to numerous different purposes. This is just an example. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add New. Again, apply a name to this particular checkout attribute. We can optionally apply text prompts and help text again if we wish to do so. And then relevant to this particular type of entry might be a couple of the options down here. So we've got a couple of additional options on the checkout attribute. So we have shippable product required. So if this is selected, all of the products in the basket must be shippable in order for this checkout attribute to be displayed on the basket page. And then we have a couple of options here to do with tax. So tax exempt, and then the selection of a tax category. And this defines whether any cost associated with this attribute are subject to taxation, and if so, which tax categories are they associated with. For this example, we'll define the control type as a radio button list. This, along with a drop-down list, relies on the administrator predefining a series of attribute values that the customer can select from. Now, we do need to define those attribute values on this tab here, but before we can do so, we actually need to save this checkout attribute. And then once I've done that, I can change tab. So in here, we're inputting the different options that we want our customers to choose between on this particular checkout attribute. So remember, in this example, it's just going to be a yes or a no option, and the yes option will apply an additional cost. If I just go ahead and add a new checkout value, that will load up a separate screen where we can input a few relevant bits of information. We've got the name of the option, so yes, and then you'll see we've got some various bits of information where we can amend the particular order based on whether this is selected. So for example, there's price adjustment and weight adjustment, and if necessary, you can change the production and delivery offset as well. In this case, we're just going to add a new price, an additional cost. So I'll just put this as an absolute value of 5 of whatever my currency is. Additionally, we could change that to a percentage if that's more applicable. And then click on save. And I'm just going to create a second one, which is a no option. And this one will not result in any price adjustment. Okay, once those are input, I'm just going to go ahead and click on save. Now, our final example of a checkout attribute will give your customer the ability to choose a desired delivery date. And this is something that will just be there as a note on the order in this particular example. So for this, we're going to utilize a date picker control. Same initial process, add a new checkout attribute and give it a name. And in the control type for this one, we're going to select out of that long list of options, a date picker. Again, we can select whether it's required or not, and then click on save. So a range of checkout attributes have now been selected. Let's go ahead and take a look at those in the front end of our storefront. So what I need to do is go to my public store and then just add something to my basket and go to the basket screen. Any mandatory checkout attributes which do not have default values assigned will provide a warning at the top of the screen to tell you that you do need to enter some values. So down at the bottom of the basket here, you can see those checkout attributes that we've created. We've got our delivery note. We've got our option to specify whether or not it's a gift item. Yes, we'll add additional cost. And we've got a date picker. So I'll do the date picker first of all. That's nice and easy. And then when we actually change the cost of the item, so using this example here, we'll need to click Update Basket in order for it to register over on the right-hand side. And that price will get added to our order subtotal. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and place this order and take a look at where these notes will actually appear to both the customer and to our administrators. So first we're going to navigate to the My Orders screen. So this is customer facing once again. Look at details of that particular order. And you'll see that listed customer facing side, we have information on the checkout attribute values that were input or selected. From within the admin side of things, so if I go to sales orders and open up that particular order, underneath the products tab, which shows you the products contained within that particular order, you'll also see details on the checkout attribute values. And finally, within shared print operations, if I expand the job, you'll see within the actual details section of that particular job, we'll see those checkout attribute values. So even though shared print operations displays each individual job, so there may be several entries for one order, the checkout attribute information is displayed in the details section for each of the relevant jobs.